here we are at the third Eccoi SCX and also GovTech webinar. So the first two were covering sovereign AI, its global impacts, the influence in Australian government, and then also an enterprise perspective as well. So you had your presenters Sam Bartoni, Sam Ma, and George Yee from SCX as well. So George is unfortunately unable to make it today. So we've got Rob Amos, who's the chief engineer at SCX.ai. He's filling in for us. And what we're going to do today is we're going to take you through basically how to set up both your SCX.ai account, how to set up VSCode and Cline with that API key, look at installing Opencode, running Opencode as a desktop app, through the desktop app, running it through PowerShell or a terminal equivalent. And then Rob will do a quick demo of how to build an app from scratch. It'll just be a simple polling app, so don't worry, we're not going to change the world tonight, but it'll give you a good idea of how it all works. The other thing to think about as well today is that we'll run this exact workshop next week as well. So we'd love you to play along at home if you can. But if you get stuck or it's moving too quickly, you can come back next week, same time, same place, and have another go. Alternatively, we'll put the video up on YouTube as well, so you can play along there. Just some housekeeping protocols. Everyone's muted, video off as well. The event will be fully recorded and transcribed. If you do have any questions at all, if you want to ask them in the chat, I'll attempt to answer them while Rob's presenting. And we've also got Bhuvan, who works with us as SCX as well as a developer. He'll be there to help in the chat as well. And if there's any more general Q&As, we'll come back to those at the end as well. So I guess without further ado, let me just go to the next slide. So if you haven't already seen the special offer, if you didn't get to the last two webinars or maybe you missed it, we've got SCX.ai/Eccoi. And if you go to that link, you should be able to sign up for an Eccoi member account with SCX, and Rob's going to take you through that sign up now and what it looks like once you've logged in.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Sam. So yeah, I'll just quickly show you what the portal looks like once you've signed up using that Eccoi link. Make sure you use that Eccoi link. You get 5 million free tokens per day. So it's something, a good starting point. So let's share this. Right. All right. So this is what you'll see when you sign up. So we have our playground where you can quickly log in and test models. We currently have quite a large set of models that you can test, Australian sovereign models, EU models, US models, but let's just stick with the Australian models for today. So our premier coding model is SCX Coder. It's a fine-tuned model specifically designed for coding tasks, which we'll be focusing on today. So the main thing I'm going to demo today is how you set up and connect SCX to various IDEs. I'll be starting with VSCode, and we'll be setting that up using the Cline extension for VSCode. So I'll quickly show that. The first thing you'll need to do is jump on, once you've created and signed up to SCX, you'll need to create an API key. It's simple as coming in here and creating a key. You have a few options when setting up a key. Currently, you'll be able to set logging to anything, input only, output only, or no log retention at all. So we can set that up right now. This is your API key for accessing the OpenAI compliant API endpoint for SCX. So you only get to see this once, so copy it and save it, keep it secure, use a password manager, encrypt it, that sort of thing. So you take this and we'll use that later. All right. So I'm assuming people know how to install VS Code or have set it up already, but if not, I'll quickly show you where to download that. Great. So if you head on over to VS Code, you can download and install it from here. And once that is completed, we can open up the VS Code extension, which we have. Yeah. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. This is VS Code. So to install the extension we recommend using when using VS Code, because VS Code doesn't natively provide an interface to it, you can open up the extensions panel by going over here and this icon here, and you search for Cline. Since I've already installed it, it's already installed, but you just click install here. And once that's installed, a new icon on your left-hand menu over here will pop up, and you can come in here and configure how to connect to our endpoint. So you do that by hitting setup, this top icon up in the top right here. So open up here, top right, setup, and it'll open this API configuration menu. So the API provider you need to select is OpenAI compatible, and the base URL you need to set is https://api.scx.ai/v1. And then for the OpenAI compatible API key, you paste in that API key we just created prior. For model configuration, you can set any of our models, but preferably you would select Coda, as it is our fine-tuned model. And then you need to set the model configuration. So there's an additional step here that we need to set the max context window size to let the API or to let Cline know how big the context window can be when writing code and processing. So we set that to 192,000 tokens and a max output of 8,000 tokens. And once that's done, you just click done. And that's it. We're configured, we're good to go, and we can start using Cline. So we can say, we've got a full integration already working with SCX.ai. And so we can get it to plan out a new feature. And then, so we've got our simple planning there. I'll leave it at that for this point in the presentation, and we'll jump across to Opencode. So for those that don't know Opencode, Opencode is another coding IDE that we pretty much always use at SCX. We use it to build a lot of our apps. It is an open source copy or implementation of Claude Code, so a very popular coding harness. It's very powerful, and it works excellently with SCX.ai's Coda model, as well as Minimax 2.7. So to install that, you can go over to Opencode.ai, bring you to this page. And depending on which environment you're using, you'll be able to install it in different ways. They provide a CLI interface for developers, or a desktop implementation as well. So the desktop implementation is more of a Claude co-work type interface for less coding and more just general model use. And let me show you what that looks like. All right. So to get started with Opencode, let me show you what that looks like. Hopefully you can see my terminal. So I'll demonstrate the coding environment to begin with, as I don't have the desktop installed. But to configure Opencode to work with SCX, there's one configuration file that you need to use. We can open that up here. So we have a single configuration file that I'll share with after the meeting. This works across Windows, Linux, Mac, and all you have to do is copy and install this and insert your API key here, where it says insert your API key. So we'll go ahead and insert API key, save that, and we can open up Opencode here. So the way we use Opencode is two speed in SCX. So we have a hybrid approach where you can use Anthropic or OpenAI frontier models to do the planning stage. So usually you break these coding tasks into two steps. You do a plan phase, and then you do an execution phase. So occasionally we will use Opus 4.7, 4.8 to the initial plan, and then we'll get our fast sovereign model to do the actual building and writing of code. And that generally results in a good hybrid approach. But if you want the full sovereign experience, which I'm going to demo here, we can do it by selecting our model. So to select, once you've input our Opencode config, you can come in here and search SCX, and you can pick out which models you're going to use to do the coding. So now we've selected SCX's Coda model, we can switch to plan mode and build out a polling app we'll get a demo. Okay, so we've got our plan done already, and we can go switch to execution mode and get Opencode and SCX to build our app for us.
Hey, Rob, while that's running, do you want to just talk about the potential for a hybrid model as well if someone has a Claude API key?
Yeah, absolutely. I can demo that as well. So we're already done with that quick app because the model is so fast. It moved faster than you could actually see. So we can quickly open that up and demo that. I share my screen of that file we just built. This is the app it just built in less than, I don't know, 10 seconds. Great. Look at that, done. So that was a quick test of the full sovereign experience where it's SCX doing the full plan and execution of the code. I'll quickly demo the hybrid method, showing Opus doing the planning and SCX doing the actual building. So let me just do that setup here. You can see that again. So we've got another Opencode config file that I'll share as well after this meeting. Let me just open it up here. So we specify two different models in the config here. So we have the primary build, the agent steps here. So the build sets the model for building the code, and the plan sets the model for planning. So in this case, we're using Anthropic Claude Opus 4.7, and set these up to use our new API key. So you have to set the API key. In this case, I have an environment variable that's setting my Anthropic key. So we will instead delete this, and you can insert your own API key for that when you set it up. But we will set my key. Great. Let's see if this works. All right. Share my new screen. All right. So now, when switching between the plan and build phases in Opencode, you can see that it switches to Opus 4.7, extra high thinking, and when it wants to build, it's going to switch to Minimax M27. In this case, we'll get it to build another polling app. I guess there's a good point to ask if anyone has any questions at this point in time while I set this up.
Other than Claude, have you had any experience using like a hybrid model with any other models?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can use any of the frontier models to do this. So I've used Codex 5.5 from OpenAI. It's also a very good planning model. Again, expensive and non-sovereign, but once we demo the combination, you can see why it's powerful. And yeah, it will work with any other model pairings. Yeah. Okay, so that's worked. So now that hopefully everyone can see my screen, so we've got Opus 4.7 doing the initial plan and layout of the application, and so you can see it's a lot slower. However, it is a much bigger model, so you might get some more interesting design inputs. So you can see it's quite extensive in that sort of planning step. However, once we switch over, and being Anthropic, it tends to overthink and spend a lot more tokens than it needs to get things done. So this could take some time. Is there any way to see or control token usage with other models? Yes, absolutely. So you can see here in the right-hand side panel, when So yeah, you can see the usage of the any API calls during usage of Opencode in the right-hand panel here. So you can see it's used 30,000 tokens of Opus 4.7, and it will continue to manage that as you switch between models. So we can see here that we've got our full plan from Opus now, quite extensive, and so it's got all very specific requirements of what it's going to build. So now we're going to switch over to SCX Minimax's model, which is going to tell it to build it. And so what that's going to do is Minimax is now going to see the entire plan that's been generated by Opus and go through and execute each of the steps. And so what we're going to get is the enormous speed benefit of using SCX's hardware. So we're getting about 400 tokens per second for Minimax, whereas you only get about 60 to 70 tokens per second for Claude Opus 4.7, 4.8, or it gets even slower with the bigger the models get. So we can see that's already done. It's gone through and created that full thing again, and we can open up that file and demo what that output. Right. So here's the polling app that it's been built. So we can see it's got more, a bit of more designed theme. And so you can see it's got like a dark theme, that sort of thing. And we can add in a new poll. Great poll. Similar, slightly more refined UI design, but again, you're getting that hybrid advantage of SCX's fast execution and cost efficiency. So you can sort of reduce your enormous Claude spend by getting it to do the stuff that it's good at, the high level thinking things, and then leverage a open source, really powerful very coding specific model to execute on that, and drastically improve your iteration time, and as well as reduce your spend. So yeah, as you can see, we've got both two working apps. Both have their pros and cons. So if you want the full sovereign, protect your IP, you would go full SCX for everything, planning and design, planning and building. If that's not a hard constraint for you, but you're looking to leverage Australian sovereign models, but not lose the convenience of the frontier model, like the intelligence of the frontier models, you can do this hybrid approach and sort of leverage the best of both worlds. So that's it for the demo part of this.
I am back now. Obviously, there's been a bit of chat about the speed of the demos from Rob. He's obviously a recently advanced developer, so he's moving it at light speed. What we will do though, and if you want to have a look, I'll just talk through these points. So obviously, next step, presumably all of you are members of Eccoi community, but if you're not, there's the LinkedIn group there. And then, as I've sort of already mentioned, start using what we've got today. If you've got any questions outside of this, feel free to send them through to me. I'm sam.elliott@SCX.ai. I should be able to answer most of them, and if I can't, I've got Rob sits next to me every day, so I can always talk to him. And then if you found today a little bit too fast, we will put the video up, but you can also come along next week. We'll slow it down next week. So it'll be a little bit more leisurely. We'll try and mix it up as well in terms of the demos and everything. And we might have a little bit look through some of the customer work that we've been doing, so that you can have a look at some of those more sophisticated projects as well. And then the last thing to mention as well is that there's going to be a Sovereign AI showcase in about a month's time. So on the 8th of July, if you have built any product, bring that along to that. We'll have, sort of 3 to 4 minute sort of quick presentations through those various different products. We'll obviously bring a whole bunch of product as well to show off, in case everyone's a bit nervous and doesn't have anything to show. And we've got a few customers as well who are keen to come along to that. So keep that in mind. Are there any more questions that we can answer now? I can't see any in the chat, so I might call this to a close. But before I do, obviously, massive thank you to Sam Bartoni and Sam Marr as well from Eccoi and GovTech for organizing all of this. And look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thanks, guys.